All right, everybody, we're back at RSAC 2026. I'm Dave Vellante with Christoph Bertrand, and John Olsik is also here. You're watching theCUBE's live coverage. This is day two. We're winding up day two. You can see the keynotes are exiting. It's been a great RSAC 2026. We're super excited to have Ken Exner here. He's the Chief Product Officer at Elastic, CUBE alum. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming back.
Good to see you, Dave. Good to be back.
It's a good show. We love being here, as we said in Moscone West. It's kind of quiet.
It's usually quiet.
Maybe not so much right now, but you guys have made a bunch of announcements yesterday. What are the challenges that you were trying to address? What were the problems that you were trying to help security teams address in these announcements?
Well, one of the themes of RSA this year is AI. AI was a theme last year, but this year it's become sort of front and center because everyone started to realize that it's not just a copilot or an assistant that aids you in threat hunting. It's actually sort of core to providing defense against increasingly AI-based attacks. So AI is both the primary threat that a lot of people are facing, but also like one of the primary defense primitives that they have to work with. So a lot of the conversation right now is around AI-enabled SOCs, and the thing for Elastic is we have sort of provided AI-based tooling to help threat hunters combat these cyber threats for a long time. But one of the things that has always been a source of friction for a lot of our customers is that they have to integrate these different tools. They have to, in addition to having a SIEM, they have to have a different EDR system, they have to have a different SOAR system, they have to have a different UEBA or entity analytics system. So one of the things we're trying to do is sort of combat that tax, that security tax that people have to have, moving between these different systems and trying to provide a more integrated solution. We're also trying to combat the tax that we see with pricing that encourages people to take on bad security practices. So we want to make sure that pricing or pricing models don't actually encourage people to follow bad practices. So a couple of things that we're super excited to announce. One is that we are ending per-endpoint pricing. Mm-hmm. So if you're using us as an XDR solution, there is no endpoint pricing. So we are eliminating what we like to call the endpoint tax. You're essentially using us as a data platform. You're using us for querying data. There's no additional charge for endpoints. The second thing that we're super excited to announce is our new workflow system. So there's with Elastic, you get this native workflow capability that you can use for automation. So you don't have to use a different source system. You have native workflow capabilities that you can use to automate the different tasks in a SOC.
Right, so I'd like to talk to you about that. Obviously you're a Chief Product Officer. I love products myself, being a product guy too. So tell us about the workflows, because to me workflow is really a succession of jobs or events or actions that you take. In the age of agentic AI, what does that really mean? How does it apply then to security, cybersecurity in general terms?
So first of all, what we've done is we've integrated workflows as a basic primitive within our stack that you can use for observability workflows, for security workflows, for agentic workflows. And we have dozens of different connectors to third-party systems, but it's also natively integrated with Elastic Security. So it's natively integrated with the alerts and cases that you have, the investigation that you have. So you have this native experience that you don't have to switch between a different platform and our SIEM. But what it means in the age of agentic AI is, and this is one of the things I'm super excited about, is that workflows are typically deterministic, rules-based things. Like you're taking a series of steps that are predictive, they're rule-based, but sometimes you want to have a bit of judgment, a bit of reasoning as part of that. Without having to always invoke a human, always have to have a human in that process. And the combination of what we have with our agent builder technology and workflows, you can now inject reasoning steps, judgment steps within a workflow. So you can start automating some of the things that usually had to have a human always be part of that. So again, in the age of AI, where threats are speeding up, you want to combat that with faster actions. And sometimes using a reasoning step in a workflow can actually speed up that time to actually take action or do something. So if you are looking at a phishing email, you can reason over that email and not just use a rules-based approach.
So Ken, can you connect that to what you were saying earlier about eliminating the SOAR tax? Square that circle for me.
Well, you don't have to integrate with a different system. So you don't have to have a different system that you're using. You're actually taking the workflows and compute related to workflows and bringing that to the data. So you don't have to switch and use a different system. You can actually, within the context of your SIEM, within your data platform, start building workflows from the data. It allows you to actually have totally new sets of capabilities that weren't possible before, but also in an integrated experience. So you don't have to go to a different system. From the data, from the SIEM, you can actually start building workflows and use reasoning steps or deterministic workflows.
And there's no functional trade-off in doing so?
No, it's actually additive. It's not only the ability to do traditional security orchestration response. You can do all the traditional things. You can take automated response actions. You can spin up a Slack channel, whatever you might typically do. But in addition to that, you can also have AI-based steps in that. And I think this is we're starting to see really novel, clever uses of this to handle things that previously always had to have a human be part of that process. So you're able to speed up a lot of this, and eventually you might want to have a human in the loop, but you can take some of the things that might have taken simple judgment and actually automate that.
So I want to focus on your users, your end users, security analysts.
Yes.
Obviously this is injecting a change in how they interact with their job, literally, right? There's always this discussion, oh, AI is or agents are going to steal my job. Well, in this case here, you seem to be going in the direction that says they're going to help you. But day to day, what is it changing for me as a security analyst? I'm watching this.
If you've looked at how we've used AI within our SIEM product to date, it's always been about giving the analyst a couple things. Removing a lot of the drudgery from what they're having to do, like attack discovery. We were here last year, we talked about attack discovery, which was an ability to automatically go through all the different alerts and determine which ones are false positives, right, which ones are related, and automatically map the related ones to a MITRE attack chain. That sort of eliminates the drudgery. So you don't have to sift through 200 of these. You can actually just look at a couple of correlated attacks, and we can actually map that and show you the attack path. That makes it much easier for the analysts. So suddenly they don't have to sift through all those alerts. They can immediately be taken to the thing that they want to try to get to. So it eliminates hours of sifting pain, manual work. The other thing is we augment them with a lot of knowledge base, a lot of the power of an LLM to sort of have all this additional information, this additional context. And we can bring that context to the work that they're doing. So suddenly any analyst suddenly has all the knowledge at their fingertips for how to resolve something. So in addition to the playbooks and the typical things that might build up as knowledge in an enterprise over time, you have all the industry information about how to deal with these issues. So bringing the industry knowledge, the domain, the company knowledge to bear to handle these different attacks makes everyone suddenly, it gives them superpowers. It gives them, every junior analyst can suddenly become a senior analyst.
Who doesn't want superpowers?
It's superpowers, yeah.
I want to come back to the per endpoint XDR pricing,
yeah.
The fact that you're eliminating that. Somebody once said to me, no matter what pricing model you choose in software, it's never perfect. And so, but I'm fascinated by pricing and pricing changes. We're hearing a lot about, per seat, per endpoint. Yeah. What led to that decision? And how are you pricing?
We charge for our SIEM, and there's a couple of different pricing models for that. One is, if you're using our serverless cloud product, we just charge for the data ingested and the data retained. Okay. If you're using self-managed, we just charge you for the compute resources that are used to store and query the data. But what we're doing is we're eliminating the endpoint charges. And the reason we're doing that is, something we noticed is that people were making trade-offs about which systems to protect. Okay. They didn't want to protect all, every single, because it would be expensive. Every single right. additional laptop, every single additional mobile device. These are all additional charges. And this is the model that we use in the industry today. We charge per endpoint, which means that most people are protecting only the most vital assets they have. But in an AI-based world, you should be looking to protect your entire estate, not just the elite few that you can afford to protect. So we wanted to make sure that customers were protecting everything that they had, and not having to make that choice, that sort of Hobbesian choice. Like we don't want them to have to choose which endpoint is more important to protect. So we eliminated it, and we essentially charge just for the SIEM. So if you don't want to retain data with us, you can pretty much have a very close to free endpoint protection solution. But we think that customers will get value from our SIEM as well as a true XDR solution, and they'll want to use us not just as an endpoint solution, but also as a SIEM.
So it's kind of like an enterprise license agreement for the SIEM, and then of course you charge for the storage consumed.
But if you don't use us, if you don't retain, you're not going to get charged.
Right.
So we believe customers will get so much value out of the integrated XDR solution that they'll want to retain data. They'll want to use us as a SIEM as well, but they don't have to. Game us. Feel free to just use us as an endpoint solution and not get charged.
And that's a consumption pricing.
Yes, it's all consumption based.
I have a question regarding your ecosystem. Obviously you're part of a broader solution here. How do you approach your ecosystem? What partnerships do you have? What alliances do you see as critical moving forward?
So we've always been sort of a flexible, our roots are in open source. So Elasticsearch came from Elasticsearch, which is one of the most popular open source projects of all time. So we've always been open. We've always been a highly flexible platform. People used us initially as sort of a threat hunting platform that integrated with a bunch of other systems. So integration has always been core to what we do. We integrate with pretty much every EDR system out there, every other different CDR system, cloud security system. We want to make sure that we are always working with our ecosystem. And customers like that flexibility that we have. As we introduce some of these capabilities, we still support our partners. We still want to make sure we have great relationships with those partners, whether it's a SOAR partner or whether it's an ER partner, we still maintain strong relationships. But we're trying to also provide a convenient, easy to use, integrated platform for the SOC. That includes most things that you'll want to have in modern day SOC platform.
I want to ask you about Jensen's AI stack, just sort of in my brain. He built this, he put this blog out talking about a 5-layer cake.
Yeah.
And nowhere in that 5-layer cake was there data. So I want to ask you about
in Jensen.
In Jensen's, he's got.
There was. Well, it wasn't
Not
in the
really.
5-layer. There was on a different slide.
Right.
And you might have noticed that Elastic was actually on that slide.
Right. So,
yeah.
but it wasn't in his fundamental architecture of the 5-layer cake, because he had power, infrastructure, all the way up to apps. It's yes, and of course, when we asked him about it, he's like, yeah, look, data is important, and he made a lot of data announcements, and to your point, Elastic was part of that. So I want to ask you about Elastic as a data platform. Sure. What is a data platform for you, and what does that mean in the AI world?
So as I mentioned, we started off as Elasticsearch, which is an open source search engine, and as a search engine, we had to become good at a couple things. We had to become, a search engine is essentially a database. It's a data store. And we had to become very good at searching through vast amounts of data very quickly and very efficiently, and figuring out how to store all kinds of data, structured, unstructured, different schemas. And one of the reasons we became popular in security is that we could handle all this data and help people find whatever they were looking for in that data, no matter what schema, no matter what system it came from, no matter whether it was structured or unstructured. And that's sort of the core of what we tout as a data platform, is that we are exceptionally good at unstructured data. We can help you find that needle in a haystack, even if it's unstructured. Even if it's data that, like we can do joins on 2 different data sets that are completely different schemas. We can help you do math operations on data that is completely unstructured. So we're exceptionally good at this kind of stuff that gives sort of magical powers to these analysts. But we're also, because we're a search engine, we're also an AI platform. So search has become essentially the foundation of AI. It's how you give context to an AI-based system. It's how you ground an AI system. It's how you make sure that the AI system has the right information in order to give you the right answers or take the right actions. So that heritage of being a data platform and being an AI system, or a system that powers AI applications, has made us sort of uniquely positioned in the world of security, where because we are exceptionally good at data and exceptionally good at AI, we can bring those 2 things together and deliver an AI-powered experience for the modern day SOC.
Well, and to to your point about open, Elastic's always an open, Elk Stack is famous.
Yep.
The one criticism for Elk Stack is you need to have skill sets to take advantage of it, and you got to be smart people. How does AI simplify that?
Well, some of how we simplify that, even before we get to AI, is through the solutions that we created. So the Elastic security solution was a solution built on top of the core set of tools that we had.
Right.
That made it easy. It made created an interface and experience that was familiar and easy for a security practitioner. So they didn't have to use the raw tools. They had case management. They had alerts. They had all the things that they would expect, timelines. They could sort of use the data in the way they came to expect to use them in a SIEM.
That was the intuitive kind of abstraction layer that you guys built on top.
It was a UI layer that allowed them to interact with the data, interact with the powerful platform through a familiar interface.
And that shot up market share, and we saw that.
Same thing for observability, we did the same thing. Yep. Now with AI, suddenly, some of the things that required some specialization now don't. So I'll give you one example. With any SIEM, you typically have query languages that you need to learn. We love our query language, ESQL. We think it's a powerful query language, but you don't have to use it. You can just use natural language. Whether that language is English or Japanese or anything else, you can actually use natural language in order to construct queries, and we will automatically take the chat conversation and actually create the ESQL queries beneath the scenes. So we are starting to deliver an experience that's more conversational and not requiring that specialized information. And you're seeing this delivered through sort of chat first, AI first experiences in Elastic, so that you can actually just have conversations with your data. You can have conversations that don't require you having to learn different syntax or different query languages. You can just tell us what you're trying to do in whatever language you want. And we're starting to take the experience of alerts queries and tables and all the different visualizations and bringing that into this AI-based experience. And I think over time, it'll not only be our AI-based experience, it'll be others. Like we will work, whether you're using Claude Code or anything else, we will work within those ecosystems and deliver our capabilities through whatever AI UX you're choosing to use. And I think the future is exciting. I'm excited about what we're going to be doing this year.
Sounds like Star Trek.
I was going to say, the universal translator, I was thinking just about that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Ken, great to have you back on theCUBE. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching. Keep it right there. We're at RSAC 2026. You're watching theCUBE. Dave Vellante, Christophe Bertrand, John Olczyk. Right back, right after this short break.